Hello, and welcome back to the Nourish with Purpose podcast. It's Bailey, and I hope you're having a great Wednesday or whenever you're listening to today's episode. On today's episode, I'm having on Kaitlyn. She's the founder of Kalos Co. And really, we had just such a great conversation. I don't want to waste too much time with a catch up today. Just a reminder to leave a 5-star rating or review if you're listening to the podcast and enjoying it. It truly makes my day to see what you guys have to say about the podcast and just encourages me to show up every week. So thank you so much if you have already done that. Again, today we have on Kaitlyn, and let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Today I have on Kaitlyn. She is the founder of the Kalos Co. And I am just been wanting to interview her for a while because I've been using their products for the last 2 years. I was actually thinking about that before this episode too. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have used and loved these products for so long. So to hear how it's all started and kind of the origin story is something I've been so interested in doing. So Kaitlyn, thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Bailey. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I would love to start with just like honestly telling people about yourself too. Kalos aside, like let's learn about you, kind of maybe even 3 things that you're super passionate about. Yeah, I would just love to get to know you a little bit better as well.
Okay, so I grew up in the Central Valley of California. It's kind of like the hidden pocket, I would say. I absolutely love it, but I feel like people who think of California definitely don't think of where I live. Um,
Yeah.
but I would say, okay, 3 things that I'm passionate about. Um, I'm really passionate about the Lord, and I'm really driven by that, and just like my purpose on earth, and yeah. So then something else that I'm super passionate about is skincare. Honestly, always have been, and I'll go into a little bit more about that, telling you like my story. And then let's see, I'm really passionate about my family. Also another driving factor into like just being healthy and learning more and more about what we use and what we put in our skin and what we use in our households. And so, yeah, all of this kind of led me to starting Kalos Co.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a huge piece, like when we think about wellness and taking care of ourselves, we immediately go to food and we immediately go to exercise. But a lot of even parents too, like what I think about, I'm going to put on Oliver's skin. I'm like, that's something I'm glad I've done the research before to know, or to have companies like you that have done the research and created a quality product. But our brain doesn't always go there immediately. Like, oh, to keep a family healthy, also the products that we're using on our skin really matter too.
I definitely also didn't ever think about that. I don't know. Do you want me to go into everything now?
Yeah, go for it. I would love to hear
Okay.
like what led you to start it and everything.
Okay. So, I have always had super problematic skin. Problematic in the way that it's been super acne prone. All growing up, and all my siblings had to go on Accutane. I
Mm,
didn't, which I'm really grateful for now. But I could have, like it was that bad. Like I totally could have, maybe should have. And but I tried everything else under the sun. And that's how I kept it at bay. I was seeing doctors. I was on some oral stuff. I was on anything topically that you could be prescribed, and it was like wreaking havoc on my skin. Like the acne was going away, but my skin was so dry. But I
mhm.
was a high schooler and super insecure, and just really wanted it to go away. So I was really willing to try whatever. And then I got married pretty young, and we got pregnant soon after. And so my acne was still in full force.
Mhm.
But when you're pregnant, you can't use a lot of that stuff. And that's kind of really when I started looking into ingredients. And I more just knew it wasn't pregnancy safe. It didn't occur to me that, wow, like if it's not pregnancy safe, then maybe I shouldn't be using it like ever. Um,
Mhm.
but um, also really interesting, while I was pregnant, my skin completely cleared up. And I know that's not the case for everybody, but I had a lot of things that I didn't really realize were going on wrong with me that completely went away when I was pregnant. And after talking to my doctor and doing a lot of research, um, now this I probably didn't fully figure this out until my third pregnancy, um,
Mm,
because I became very aware of like the changes that were happening in my body post pregnancy and then getting pregnant again. And
mhm,
constantly, it was just like this cycle of like I felt like when I wasn't pregnant, everything was like out of whack. My cycle was like very inconsistent. I mean, praise the Lord, I was able to get pregnant pretty easily, but
mhm,
still just like skin, not great. My health, not great, just in general. And but when I was pregnant, everything was kind of like the best it's ever been. And my weight was super easy for me to manage, which has never been the case for me. But when I'm pregnant, it is. And then my skin was great, my hair was great.
interesting.
And um, so, anyways, I feel like health and wellness, or maybe like the more functional side of that, really was not a thing until my third or fourth pregnancy. And so I felt like the
Mm,
research I was doing was kind of shifting. And I was there was just so much more available to me of like, oh my goodness, like there's so much going on here that really
mhm,
no one was talking about hormonally. And I realized like how much my hormones were affecting me, and how
mm,
I learned that when you're pregnant, sometimes your body self-regulates. And that was totally the case for me. I was thriving in pregnancy because, yeah, my body was just doing what it was supposed to be doing, but outside of that, my hormones were not doing well. And so I feel like seeing that and then being able to see the stark difference at the end of each pregnancy and then just, declining, I felt like. And
mhm,
so I realized, wow, this is really affecting me. And then I realized how many things affect your hormones.
mhm,
And so I just started doing deeper and deeper dives into that, and became really interested in products and what I use. Been very was very interested in what I put in my body, and so I but again, I had always had to use really intense stuff, and so I just
mhm,
couldn't imagine a world where I didn't have to. I was getting older
mhm.
and I'm like, still I'm dealing with this. I don't know why. Like I should be done
Mm,
with acne. Like I'm
right.
in my 30s, and but still it was there. And so I just started, yeah, doing deep dives into what changes can I make? What are some good alternatives? And there's definitely some good ones on the market, but I'm just a super creative, entrepreneurial type personality. And
Mhm.
I had just had my fourth baby, so no better time to start a business. And and
After
I
4 kids, yeah, why not? Let's just sprinkle this in while we're at it.
I know. I think about it now, I'm like, wow, that was actually crazy. But I feel like the Lord is so good, and He has just, yeah, just provided such provision and clarity and wisdom, and I'm so grateful. And so yeah, I feel like all the natural products I had used in the past, were either greenwashed, which is like a term
Mhm,
used that where it's like it's clean, but it's not really clean at all. The standard of that level to be able to use that word is basically no standard. And so, or natural products, but mainly plant based and potentially irritating to your skin. And for me, it was irritating. I
mhm,
had tried a lot of other brands and just didn't have any luck. Definitely made my skin worse. Yeah, I just decided to start messing with things. And then I heard about tallow. And that was kind of a at the when I first heard about it, I feel like a lot of the world still hadn't.
mhm,
And I was so intrigued by it, and my skin did really well, and I was shocked. And so I decided, okay, like I know I wanna make stuff. I know I wanna include this, and I just be got more interested in more bioidentical, fats instead of plant fats, and I do use both, but just kind of keeping your skin in mind, and definitely from my point of view, acne in mind just because of my history, and so I feel like, yeah, through a lot of trial and error, I started Kalos Co with 3 products, a tallow face balm and, a probiotic face spray, and, um, a cleansing oil, the cleansing oil that you use. So that was my,
Yeah,
like,
that
step
is
system that I released on Etsy in 2023, like, early 2023, and, it was, I mean, not yeah, build it and they will come. It's not true. So it's just been a wild ride. I still feel like I know nothing about business, but I know a lot about skincare and ingredients and yeah, just holding like super high standards. And so I feel like the Lord has provided people in my path to help me with the business side of things because that is not my nature. I'm a creative by nature for sure. And
Mhm.
so I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. It's been, yeah, such a
Yeah. Well, I have a couple of questions. The first one, though, I want to dive a little bit more into the business piece of that because so you created the product and then, like you said, you launched on Etsy and I've experienced this so much where it's like crickets and you're like, oh, like I really believe in what I'm doing. Why aren't people seeing that? But what did it look like to really like start promoting your product and getting it into people's hands? What were the steps you took to kind of launch that?
Yeah, so I started on Etsy. I purchased a few Etsy courses to try and like help me out because I was just, yeah, I knew that like I could create something beautiful because I love branding, I'm creative. Um, I'm like also prior to this life, I was a baker for like a little while. So it kind of in a similar way, I'm like still creating recipes. Still making things in my kitchen, but for your face and not to eat. And um, so anyways, I feel like I had that all like down pretty well. But the side of launching it, yes, I don't want to say struggled. I just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And
Right.
a product-based business is so different than like when I was baking, it was just local people. It was really easy to get customers. But skincare is especially this type of skincare is pretty niche. And
Mhm.
so I realized pretty quickly that I needed to do a lot more to get it into people's hands that actually wanted something like that. So I learned
Mhm.
a lot about like SEO and started doing Etsy ads, but ultimately I feel like I saw the most growth when I started getting into like other micro influencers. Um, and like you, I was so grateful. And but it helped so much, and I feel like those relationships that I established with those people have been just such a gift, and, so that helped a ton. I feel like I didn't stick around on Etsy for very long, because I am very entrepreneurial in that, like, I saw this business as something that could be scalable. And so Etsy is a good starting place, but you're not really meant to stay there. Because
Mhm.
what I make is handmade, but it's not customizable. It's not that type of Etsy product. And so
Right.
I launched my own website because I realized I was sending a lot of my own traffic to Etsy, and then Etsy still takes a large portion of that. And so I decided it's time to launch my website. And that's also a lot more like if you're working with influencers, um, like it's a lot more professional to be able to send them to your website and send other people to your website. So I definitely, yeah, I would give people that tip. And starting a Shopify site is so easy. Like anyone can do it. So if you have some entrepreneurs on here, like if you are thinking about it, you can do it. I promise. I can do it. You can do it. Um, so yeah, I feel like from there, once I started the website, it actually started out as I called it Belle's. My daughter's name is Belle, and Belle means beauty, and so it just kind of like made sense. But then whenever I heard anyone else say it, it just didn't sound right, and so I was like, I think I want to rebrand. My husband was like, "Are you kidding me?" Um, and I'm like, "No, I don't know. It's not fitting." And so I spent a ton of time um, branding and looking at names, and I just yeah. So Kalos means beauty in ancient Hebrew and Greek. Um, Landed on it because I knew I wanted to incorporate a lot of ancient ingredients, and I really wanted to people to know that using ingredients that have been around since the beginning of creation and time, and knowing that the Lord had purpose in that, and that we
Mhm.
don't need to feel like we need the next best thing to look our best, and just kind of redefining the beauty standard. I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I feel like I was
No, not at all.
really um, like intrigued. I just thought it was very interesting that the narrative that was being said and that we all as women really believed is that if something was available to us and it was approved, we would put really anything on our skin in order for us to look better, and
Mhm.
at the detriment of our health. And
Right.
I was just like, wow, like who is like telling us that that is so much more important than your actual health. And so it was really intriguing slash disturbing. And so I just really like sought to like redefine that. And so I don't want to say that, my retinol alternative works better than retinol. Um, but that's not really the point. Like
Mhm.
it's the point is that you're beautiful, and you don't have to be afraid of aging beautifully. And you don't have to buy into what the world standard is. And if you want to, that's okay. But I just felt like um, it seemed like there was just one way. If you wanted to be a beautiful person, like you needed to, yeah, keep up. And yeah, I just didn't like that.
Well, and I think something that your brand encompasses so well is like natural beauty, which it sounds like that is like your goal, right? Of like you're not even the photos you post and like you've done such a beautiful job with the creative side of things. Like your Instagram is beautiful, your website is beautiful, how you take photos is, but like you can tell it's not airbrushed and you're not trying to convince women that this product is going to make them not age, but age beautifully in a sense. Where like they're going to look natural and it's going to look just overall like I don't know. It just is simple. When I just think of your company, I think of simplicity. Like it's simple. It's not like we're having to add all these creams and serums to our face to look a certain way. So it's really interesting to hear like that is very much in alignment with like really how you started too and where you come from. I want to talk to you about the products you talk about like the ones that are harmful and that we use on our skin, but like when you notice hormonal change or like fluctuations prior to pregnancy and then things corrected during pregnancy, what are some of the products? You don't have to name drop either, but you can. Nobody sponsors this podcast, so you can really say whatever. But that you noticed were like really negatively impacting your health.
Okay, so I used a lot of Polish Choice, and because that's what I use. I used that throughout high school. In addition to that, I also was on some prescription medication like minocycline, prescription strength benzoyl peroxide, and super toxic, like just honestly. So yeah, all of those were like a major no. And then I feel like also household product, just became super aware of like laundry detergent. My husband is like an Old Spice guy, like through and through. Um, he still likes Unstoppables in his laundry, and I like could gag just thinking about it.
Right.
So he has to do his own load. But that was just very much how we lived. I feel like a
Mhm.
normal American household,
Very.
like
Yes.
everything conventional, because the
Mhm.
alternatives are all expensive. And so it just
Mhm.
seemed like, I don't know, like, and we have 4 kids, so just everything's expensive, tons of laundry, tons of dishes. Yeah, so it seemed kind of like unnecessary and like honestly for hippies, like for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, like at the time. And I would have never put myself in that category. And so it was just like, and it didn't work as well as far as everyone was saying. And so, but it is interesting when you switch that frame of mind because it's like, oh, it's not working. It's not cleaning my dishes as well. It's not making my face texture as good. But when you switch that, it's like, is it really better? Or, like, or just visually what you're looking at is better. Because if your dishes have spots on them, like, that's normal. Like, that's okay.
Mhm.
Like, um, but you want that crystal clear, you don't want that, and then but you realize what you're putting on them to make them look cleaner, like, actually, it's not. I don't know. It's very interesting how marketing and just the standard has completely, like, changed the way that we think of things, or if something doesn't smell good, it's not clean, or,
Yes.
yeah, very interesting. So I would say, making those swaps for sure. I have made them in general for my household, and then my husband has his own area. He does use Kalos deodorant now, so whoo, um,
That's big. I need to give mine like I need to have my husband try that because he still uses the and he listens, so he's gonna be upset that I called him out. But it's like the one that you twist and it's the cream Gillette, maybe even is the brand. I don't know. It's like a and I've told him, I said, honey, if that's your one thing, whatever.
exactly,
But
exactly.
deodorant's a big one because it's on your armpits. Like,
You're
yeah.
absorbing so much of it. So I'm just like, babe, could we try? Yeah. So he's been a great sport though, honestly. He's a huge support, even though I would say, those like reels or memes where it's like behind every like low tox or like crunchy mom is like the Old Spice like husband. Like that is so us. But he's super supportive and he totally gets it. He does not deny that there's benefits to it, and so he's gonna come over to my side eventually. I have faith.
Yeah, you like chip away very, very slowly. I'm like, I was talking to a friend. I'm like, our poor husbands have really just been like through all the peaks and valleys. Like when we were doing everything very traditionally, and then we go full hippie and almost like too extreme, and they're along with us. And then we've kind of like neutralized. We're like, we can exist in both worlds, but it's
Yes,
just funny because they're along for the roller coaster.
yes, and definitely not the same person that he married. So I'm like, I just need
Yes.
to give you grace also.
Yeah, I would agree. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So yeah, it sounds like your husband is like obviously like very supportive of what you're doing. Does he play a role in your business as well? Like does he work alongside you with product formulation? What does that look like?
I think technically on my website his title is IT guy, because that truly is him. That is his jam. He's a nerd. He loves that stuff. That is what he does for a job, for a living, and so I'm super grateful. We just finished like remodeling the old water tower at our house, so that's where I am right now. Our house is like over 100 years old, and so there's a water tower that is
What?
definitely non like operational. But the top story is an office. The previous owners had already converted that, but it didn't really make much sense for me to be going upstairs to make stuff just to bring it back downstairs. And so the lower room that was just storage, we over the summer remodeled, and he did like literally everything. So he's super handy. And he really doesn't get enough credit for all that he does do. And he watches kids for me when I do trade shows. And I mean, he works full time, so like, I still definitely take on the main role of like the house, and but I have help. I have a girl that sometimes comes and helps me with my laundry. I have a girl who comes and works for me 2 times a week, and just helps make product, package it. I still have a 3-year-old at home. My older three are all in school, and so yeah, we make it work. He's super helpful. So grateful for him and his support. He is creative, also, but I would say his idea, we're very much like, he's like, "Oh, you should make whatever," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool." And so we're kind of on
Yeah.
different like wavelengths. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll add that to to my list of things to do."
Right.
So but I love him, love him, love him. So yeah, no, he is super helpful and as involved as he can be, I would say for sure.
Mhm. Well, I think it's encouraging to hear you two talk about like motherhood and having a business because, like, truthfully, there's never a balance, I don't think, of both worlds, right? It's like we're not seeking balance with work and business or like with work and family life, but like how you're able to integrate it into your family and have your husband be a part of it sometimes and help you build a business really and also watch your kids while you're or not watch your kids as a dad, be with his kids, right? Of like spend time with the kids. And I don't know, I just think it's really inspiring to hear and see that too. Because I think if you're listening, you're a fellow entrepreneur or business owner, it's like, well, I can't find balance between family life and my business life. And I've done this for now 3, 4 years. And it's like, yeah, there's really not balance, but it's figuring out how you can build something and have that be something you're passionate about and you love and fulfills a certain part of you while still taking care of your family.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like it's also okay if there's seasons of time where you're not really heavily like on the business side. Like during summer, I really tried to pull back as much as I could because I had all my kids home. And so it was necessary. And it was
Yeah.
also really good to have quality time with them. And so, but I mean, there were definitely days where I felt like, "Ugh, I should be doing more with Kalos. Like I could be moving the needle, in all these different areas." Um, but ultimately, like that's okay. But then there's seasons now where I'm in Q4, which is like quarter four of business or business terms, I guess. So it's definitely the busiest. And so um just giving myself grace in that, like, maybe I made dinner every single night, for the last few weeks, but that might not happen this week. Like that's okay. And maybe I'll need to get a sitter like a couple times this week and I'll see the kids a little bit less, but that's okay because I know that it's not my constant balance that is like this. It's just right now this is a little bit more and it's going to, next week it might be up. And so I just feel like giving yourself grace and just kind of figuring out the ebb and flow of what works for you, so that you
Mhm.
don't get burnt out in either category. I do feel like if you try and do both the best at all times, you're going to feel like you're failing at both at all times. And so I have absolutely been there where I have felt like I'm failing at both things. But to just stay in that is draining and just really not what the Lord intended for us as moms. Um, and so or as women in general. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So let's go back to product formation of like how you create products. Like, so you have tallow, that's kind of a base of some of your stuff, but like, how do you
Mhm.
make it what it is?
Okay, so a lot of it starts out as okay, so my first 3 products, I knew I wanted to use tallow, and so, I mean, if I'm being honest, when I launched those products, I knew, like, very little, other than it worked on my skin. But a huge component of it working on my skin, I felt was because, I incorporated, probiotics. So
Mm.
my dad actually had a company before he passed away. He passed away 6 years ago. Prior to that, though, he was in business with this guy in Texas where they were he this guy in Texas on his ranch. He has very like mineral rich, like swimming with good bacteria groundwater. And they stumbled upon this basically as, they're two farmers essentially. So they don't really know what this is. But they know when they have been putting it on crops, that the crops have needed less pesticides, less water because water retention was better. I'm in that like farming capital of the world. My husband used to be an agronomist, which is someone who analyzes plants and soil, and so I'm very much in that world. I saw the benefits that it was doing for these plants. They were giving it to calves after they were born to help with digestion. And this was kind of before probiotics was even a term, I would say. And then probiotics came on the scene and they realized, these two, country boys realized, wait, this is exactly what this is. Um,
Mm.
it's probiotics and they found that it was a superior form of it because it was never freeze dried, never frozen, live, um, and the counts were out of this world, and it was 100% natural. And so, anyways, fast forward, it became like the Windex of my household growing up, where in my big fat Greek wedding, where they literally spray Windex on anything and everything. That was the probiotics in our house. If you had a cut, if you had a burn, if you had any type of ailment, spray some stuff. But my dad called it bugs, good bugs. Like he would say, spray some bugs on
Yeah.
it. And so when I started creating Kalos, I reached out to the guy in Texas because my dad had already been gone. And so I reached out to him and I just said, hey, like, I'm interested in doing this. I would really love to incorporate probiotics into my skincare line because I've seen the benefits of it. Because everything in our world um, is designed to strip away like the good off of our skin, and including the products that we're using to cleanse ourselves. And so really by adding that on back on, it mitigated so many things. And so I was like, I feel like this is like super important for people to be using like on their skin. And I knew that there were skincare brands that were using probiotics, but I had not seen any clean ones. Tula was really popular, or is, I guess, really popular, but definitely not clean. And so I just felt like this is an area that hasn't been tapped into yet. And I was clearly already passionate about it. So that is how the three products started. And so from there, those have kind of been the baseline. And then people, of course, are asking, oh, you should really make this. You should really make that. And so the next product I launched was the tallow body butter. And that's still the same product that I have. It's still my most popular product. I think it's just because people are ready now to make those switches. And it's truly the least irritating thing that you could put on your skin. Um,
Yeah.
and for people who may have some sort of reaction to it on their face, whether that be, I would say acne is the biggest complaint for tallow. I would argue that you're maybe not using it like correctly if it's breaking you out like that bad. But on your body, there's really no, reason not to. It's a really easy switch to make. And if you're getting razor burn, or if you have psoriasis or eczema, or, I mean, it's a 100% chance that it's not going to bother your skin. So I feel
Mhm.
like that is what really catapulted that product. um, and then after that, I became a little bit more obsessive about creating not, I don't want to say complex, but just really wanted to broaden my knowledge of like the difference between um why this ingredient is superior to this, even though this is the standard, or just sourcing things honestly and figuring out where my standard was on that, and trying to figure out, okay, well, this is extra virgin olive oil, but this one's unrefined, cold pressed, organic, and just kind of figuring out like no, this is we need the best of the best. That's the level that I wanted to stay at. And so, and then a lot of that also came from like I would discover an ingredient that I felt like was maybe a little lesser known, and I would decide to center a product around it. And so I would create things from that. The deodorant was created from that. And then oh, okay. So one of my favorite things to do is go back to some of the products that I have used in the past, and get their ingredient list and put it into ChatGPT and kind of just have a conversation about it and see what in there can I pull, um, what can I replace,
Mhm.
what alternatives are available. And I mean, 10 out of 10, most of them cannot be replicated naturally, because most of them are 100% synthetic. And
Mm.
so, but it's a great challenge. And yeah, I love that process. And I'm a product junkie just by trade. I grew up in the Sephora era where, I wanted everything on the shelves.
Right.
So but now I read ingredient labels. And so I'm just, but I'm still that girl. And so like, I want things that look pretty. I want, like, I know I've used this for 6 months and I liked it, but now I want something else. That's just how I am kind of. Like I change foundation or tinted moisturizer every single time I run out, even though I liked the one I had before just fine. Um,
Right.
I just so I just like options. And so yeah, I just wanted lots of options. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's and it's so much trial and error, honestly. Lots of YouTube videos, how to combine this with this, because a lot of things don't combine properly. So many people want just like a lightweight moisturizer or tallow lotion. I found out very quickly that I can't do that because
Mm.
lotion is part water, part oil. And to combine those two together, you need a synthetic emulsifying wax that's made from plastic. And so I wasn't willing to compromise on that, even though people were asking for it. I'm like, I know people would buy it, but I need to set the love, like I feel like I need to set that level of trust that if you purchase from me, you don't need to read the full ingredient list. Like, that everything is clean and that's just the standard that we have. And so, and sorry, I use the word clean. I shouldn't use that because it's really watered down, but truly, truly clean and
Yes.
not toxic. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that. Sorry.
You're fine. No, but that's what I've like. I love when I can find a brand or company that I can like, know, and trust, and I can tell other people, and I don't have to question the quality. I know sometimes, like with food, companies can get sold and then they completely change ingredients, but like for skincare too, knowing like I can send somebody to your website and I maybe don't know every ingredient that's in it, but I trust what's in it. And so I think it's good to hear from you that like that is such a firm, like it almost sounds like that's a pillar of your business of like having a company that people can trust regardless of what the product is. And I've seen that across the board. Like you have so many products, which I just think is so incredible. Like for you as one person, and I know you said you have people that help you, but like to have developed so many products, it like blows my mind because I like with the formulations and everything. I think it's very, very impressive that you've been able to do that and stay true to having a clean product that you can trust, like people can just trust.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely a pillar. Super important. I want people to be able to come to me years from now and the standards still be the same, and they don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. So you mentioned that like with tallow, if you use it on your face and people get acne, maybe they're not using it properly. What's like the proper way to use tallow? Because I feel like that is a complaint that I hear too of like, well, I tried tallow, but it made my skin break out. Like, what's the right way to use tallow?
So the right way to use tallow is Okay, so tallow itself and any tallow, unless they're making tallow lotion, which does have water in it, but most things are tallow balm or whipped face balm or something. Um, it doesn't contain any water. And so if you're putting that onto your face or skin without hydrating properly, it's not going to do really anything good for you. Um, it's should be used to lock in hydration because water is important. So it shouldn't it being present in a lotion or moisturizer is not the company ripping you off for water. Water is important for your skin. And tallow on its own doesn't contain any of that. Neither does any other plant fat. And so but if you use it while your skin is hydrated to lock in hydration, it should not clog your pores and it should not cause any issues. And you also should not be using a lot of it. It should not feel greasy. It should feel like a lotion, like a light moisturizer would feel, because when your skin is hydrated, it absorbs almost instantly. It doesn't sit on top of your skin and stay oily, which is a lot of the things that I have heard about tallow. And you have to like also be patient with people. Like it is like a new way of doing things compared to what they probably have done before. And I'm not saying it would work for every single person if you did it this way. But I think that if you tried it this way and you were having issues, it might be better for you. And I want that for you. Like I want people to be able to make the swaps that they want to make and not feel like they have to compromise um on their skin issues because I know how like self-conscious and depleting it is to have like a face full of blemishes. And you can tell yourself, that like it doesn't matter and like you're beautiful, but like it's really hard to get past. And so I would never want anyone to just like ignore it and like just you're not allowed to use anything that works. Like you just have to suffer through because all you can use is tallow. I would never want someone to live like that. Um, but I would want you to exhaust your options and just see if there is an alternative that would work for you before going down the more conventional route.
So like when you say having hydrated skin, like after you had maybe used like a cleanser, I know you have like a bar, like when you wash your face and then doing tallow afterwards.
Yes, sorry. Okay, so what I mean by hydration is like, yes, you should have either just bathed or washed your face, or hydrated with some type of mist. I My routine is that I use the cleansing oil, with and then a warm washcloth over that. Then I use the milk bar, and rinse that off with water. So my face is already hydrated from that process. And then I use the Skin Regen, which is the probiotic mist. And while that is still wet, I put on right now I'm using the Vital Balm. So the Vital Balm is tallow based. So I put that on while my face is still damp and it almost creates like a temporary emulsion on your face, just like a typical emulsified lotion it would be. And
Yeah.
so it'll start getting a little bit creamy and white on your face. And so you're kind of creating a moisturizer on your face. So, and when you do that, it feels very light and it absorbs, like I said, almost instantly. So it feels completely different than if you put tallow directly onto bone dry or any plant, any fat for that matter. If you put that just fat onto bone dry skin, it's just gonna sit there on top. It's not going to harm you, but it's going to take a long time for it to absorb. You're going to experience much more transfer onto your clothes, onto your pillow, um, and all of that. The way that it's going to be most beneficial to your skin is for it to absorb. But on that note, like take into consideration the products that you're using. That's how much they're absorbing into your skin. Like that's how
Mhm.
they're working. that's how they're improving your skin texture and everything. It's because they're actually absorbing. It's not because 'cause they're just resting on top. They're actually absorbing
Yeah.
into your bloodstream and into your skin. And so, yeah, just keeping that in mind for both scenarios,
Yeah. Yeah, if you're using a really low quality product, like it's still getting absorbed
for
into
sure.
your skin, and like we could go on a whole a tangent with that. That's really interesting. And I didn't know that about tallow. Like I've used tallow for a long time, but I didn't understand like the hydration piece. Like I know what you're talking about, like where it feels like it sits on your skin. So it's not
Mhm,
something necessarily like you have dry skin, you put tallow on, you need to make sure you're moisturizing and or hydrating your face first
mhm.
and then using tallow. That's
Yes.
really good to know. That's something I feel like most people maybe don't know about
I
tallow,
know I need
truthfully.
to be better about you know what? Okay, so Instagram is like a beast, I have a girl who does my content for me, and every so often when we do, like, more educational, like, videos, and they just do not do well. But I'm like, "I need to do them anyways," I need to talk about
Yeah.
this. I need to because it is important, and I want people to be successful, and if people reach out with issues, I always explain this to them, but it would probably be a good idea for me to put it on a larger level because,
Yeah. Or
it's
even the probiotic water. Like the probiotic water, that's so fascinating. I didn't know that about, it's not to say I know everything about your company, but like I have been, I don't know, consuming your content for a long time, but I'm like, that'd be something very interesting to like share as
right, and
well
that's
that
like
people
it's
probably
one of
don't
those
know.
products that has always been there, and so we're
Yeah.
not great about educating people about it because it was the first one, so we're very, like, heavy on the new things and, like
Yeah.
but really it's probably my favorite one, honestly, I don't know. The lip oil is also pretty good.
Oh, the lip oil is so good. So I have two more questions for you about your products. Like if somebody was to get started with using your products, what would be three products you would recommend to them to get started?
Oh, great question. Okay, so I think it depends on, like, their skin concerns, honestly, but if I had to recommend products for you, let's say, I would say cleansing oil for sure, but you already know that, and then I would say the Skin Regen
Mhm.
and the Vital Balm.
Okay.
So the
Is
Vital
the
Balm
Vital Balm orange?
yes.
Yeah. I recommended that I actually gifted that to my mom with your lip oil and she loves it.
Aw. I love the Vital Balm. It, like, feels so dreamy on. It has bakuchiol in it, which is, like, a natural retinol alternative, but that one was formulated with, like, so much intention. I mean, everything is very intentional, but that one was, like it doesn't have essential oils in it even because I just wanted everything in it to be, like, beneficial and not just like no filler like whatsoever. So I worked really hard on that product and I love it, like love it. And I feel like
Mhm.
most people's skin does really well with it. And so that's what I would recommend.
Okay. Where do you see Kalos going in like the next 2 to 3 years? What are your visions for it?
So I'm a very like visionary person. So like when I started, like I saw the end goal and that's why not why I started, but that's why I believed in the business, in the business side of it. I always believed in the product, but I saw like high potential right away. And so I've always said that my end goal, but I wouldn't even say it's like an end goal, but one of my goals is to be in the checkout line of Anthropologie. Um,
Oh,
like all the little products that are like right there. And I have like a little lip mask. And so I just like always had it in my head that one day like I'll be in the Anthro checkout line. That would be like one of the goals. So I would say realistically that could totally happen, honestly.
mhm.
I have like absolute faith in the business, but I also have absolute faith in the Lord. So if that's not his plan, then I have a lot of peace with that. But I'm just yeah, I just am so grateful for where I am and I feel like I have like I'm starting to work with reps for like wholesale businesses and so this is a new area of business where I haven't done that. I am in a lot of stores, like I do wholesale. I'm on Fair. So I'm in a couple stores in Canada. I'm in Australia, in
How
Hawaii.
cool.
Um,
Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's so
that's
like
yeah, I
that's
feel
amazing.
like when I say it like that, I'm like, yeah, that is really cool. So I don't want to diminish the like milestones that I have reached because I am like just amazed and so grateful. Um but I feel like there's a lot more to come. Like working with a rep like this, the idea is that they give you connections to not just like little boutique stores, but larger stores. And so I feel like I'm just asking the Lord for a lot of guidance, honestly, just because um we make product on a somewhat small scale, I would say. Right now, it's becoming more and more, and I feel like we just built this room to facilitate like packaging and stuff, and it's yeah, like too small, and so all really good problems to have, but I just feel like there's definitely going to be growing pains, and so just seeking wise counsel, and I'm really, really excited.
Oh my gosh. It is so yeah, fun to hear that and just to hear like you're it sounds like you're thriving, which I feel like, as business owners there's always that next thing. It's like, well, I would really like this to happen, but just like enjoy the process and also recognize how far you've come and how much growth you've had like over the last 2 years, which like
Yeah.
longer than that. You started in 2013 or 2023?
2023, like I think February of 23. So it's been like 2.5 years.
Oh my gosh. Well, Caitlin, how can people support you, find you, get connected with you?
Yeah, I would love that. Okay, so you can follow us at the Kalos Co, and you can shop thekalosco.com. And I'll definitely, or I mean, you have a code, but maybe I'll give you a new code
Yes.
for this. And yeah, I would just be so grateful if you want to follow along, if you want to purchase, if you have questions, and you're looking for a routine that works for your skin, like please reach out, email us, or message us on Instagram. Like I would love, love, love to talk to you and get you set up with some Kalos.
Yeah, that's something you do such a good job of is like answering questions through DMs too. Like I know I've had some eczema clients that I've asked you questions about and you've been so helpful. So that's a great piece of like message you on that on your Kalos Instagram if you have questions about different products too. I'll link everything in the description of today's episode as well as the code I believe is Nourish15 unless we change it for people to get 15% off and just yeah support you and what you're doing because it's just amazing and it's so fun to just watch it from afar.
Oh, thanks so much, Bailey. I had so much fun chatting with you. You're such a joy and a light, and I yeah love watching you and your podcast and business grow as well.
You're so sweet. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Wednesday episode. The reason why I wanted to have Kaitlyn on too is because I really only promote and talk about products I like, know, and trust, and Kalos is definitely one of them. If you want to shop, like I said, everything will be in the description of today's episode. If you're curious about what products I use and love, I really love their cleansing oil. It's great for removing makeup and leaves your skin feeling very hydrated and rejuvenated without stripping all of those natural oils. And then I also really like their lip balm. It very much so mimics another brand's lip balm, but it's much better. And it's clean, of course, and I just really love that I can trust the products that I'm using from her. So again, check out their website, thekalosco.com, and use the code Nourish15 for 15% off your order. Again, message me if you have any questions. But if you're interested in following along with my life outside of the podcast, you can find me at Nourish with Bailey on Instagram and Facebook. It's Bailey Seaton. Otherwise, if you want to connect with me, my email is in the description of every single episode. Also, just a reminder, if you're wanting to get blood testing or HTMA testing within the next, honestly, into January, now is the time to book that. It takes time to get those tests ordered. Just know that it is really the ideal time to get that maybe even a month and a half ahead of time if that's something you're wanting to do. I'm also going to be traveling in November, which I'll share about on next week's podcast and share all the details with that. So get in when you can. Also, I have limited availability, so just wanted to give you that reminder. Again, all the details of that are in the description of today's episode. So with that, I'll talk to you again next Wednesday. Bye.